Hello and welcome to this episode of the Wine Down ReWine. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us this week as I guess we're venturing back to problematic fucking people. But before we get there, we start the week off on a sad note. I want to say goodbye and rest in peace, rest in power to a rap legend, icon, DMX. I know you're not a big hip hop fan, Tammy, but were you a DMX fan?
I listened to him when he was popular.
Yeah, he had his struggles. I was a fan. I loved his earlier stuff. I did. I'm not gonna say, and I was surprised to see that he had music coming out as late as 2018. So he's been consistent in the music game. But probably after his first 2 or 3 CDs, I kind of fell off. But I know this summer he did a versus him and Snoop Dogg, and it just kind of took me back. It was nostalgic. It was great. It reminded me. I think it reminded everyone who watched it. When I was watching, I was going through the comments and stuff on Twitter and Instagram, and it just kind of reminded us of how truly talented he was. Just like with his flow, his spoken word. And I've always loved DMS's voice. Like, I love that husky, deep voice that he had. So, he will be missed sorely in the world of entertainment and just through his fans. So, thoughts, and I hate saying this now because it sounds so hollow, but sincerest, deepest thoughts and prayers to his friends and family. And may he finally be at peace. I know he had some troubles in his life, but
I like how people call being a drug addict troubles.
Well, it's not just that. Just he had a very rough life, and I know he's not the only one. But yeah, I also, and his streams went up like by 1,000% after his passing. So, of course, that was going to happen and stuff like that. But we'll see. And he's also the show Godfather of Harlem. Really good show on Epix with Forrest Whitaker. They just released a song with him and Swiss Beats and French Montana. That's on the soundtrack of that show. And I know that he was working on another album when he passed. I think it was almost done. So we'll probably get a posthumous release with DMX. And I was looking at some of the people that he was collabing with, and he had a lot of people on there. So we'll see what happens. And also, I know that you were saddened by this news, but
I don't care. Phillip, I don't care. He died. He was old. He was extremely old.
Prince Phillip died 2 months shy of his 100th birthday. He was 99. And he died on Charles and Camilla's birthday. And not birthday. He died on their wedding anniversary. And just for the fact that he was loved, he had family. He meant something to someone. I'm saddened, and
I heard he was actually a pretty good person.
Yeah. So thoughts, and again, condolences to the royal family and those royal followers who just those in Britain who are mourning, the loss of a member of the royal family and all that. But can I say this? Black Twitter and Irish Twitter went ham on that day. I was just like, wow. Some of the memes that were coming out were, I was like, okay. So he may have been loved by some, but not all. But again, may he rest in peace. And also, we had a different type of ending this week. I know you were saddened about this one. You cannot even tell me you weren't sad about the fact that Jennifer Lopez and Alex Rodriguez ended their relationship and their engagement. Are those tears I hear?
Yes.
Or is that the sound of your middle finger going up in the air and
No,
your eyes rolling?
no. I'm silently crying over here.
Oh, so that's the sound of your heart breaking.
Yes. So broken. I don't know what I'm going to do now that J.Lo is not with ARod. It's like having, no, it's just so sad.
Yeah, J.Rod is no more. So, just, yeah.
So they can be assholes and bitches on their own now, rather than together.
I'm speechless. I liked them together. I really did. But I'm just gonna say, Alex Rodriguez does not seem like the Marion type because he can't be faithful for shit, But hey, that's just my
I'll be honest and
opinion.
say I've never followed their relationship whatsoever. Like, I knew they were together, but they're an insignificant couple to me. Like, I don't see any significance. They broke up and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
yeah,
it's nothing to me. This is nothing to me on them breaking up.
It wasn't one of those things like because they supposedly broke up about a month ago or a little while ago. And I like Jennifer Lopez, I do. But I was just thinking when I read it, when it first came out that they were breaking up, and I guess, they were trying to get it ahead of the story and just, they weren't ready to announce it yet or whatever. But I was thinking, because last year they were supposed to have this big, magnificent Italian wedding that was going to, and I'm like, ooh, so Rona saved you, huh? Like, so I guess you could chalk that up to they say you always just find a positive in every shitty situation. So I guess you could say, yeah, Rona may have saved you in that case. But I wasn't just like, oh, heartbroken. It wasn't just like, oh, I can't believe it. And I don't know that there's a couple out there that I'm just like that about. So we'll see. But
I was like that for Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. That broke my heart when they broke up.
That was a sad one. I have to admit.
That affected me because it was like two beautiful people just put together, so you could just like them together. Yeah. And I was like, dang it, now I got to go back to separation. But yeah, it's very rare that I have a celebrity couple that I just absolutely love and am fully 100% behind. And I can definitely say with all honesty that J.Lo and ARod was not one of those couples.
Yeah. I agree with you on Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And I also agree with you on ARod and J.Lo. I like her. I'm just like, yeah, I didn't, they were cute together. He seemed to mature with her. I don't know, but it was just like when the word came out, I was just like, oh, okay. I had a moment of, oh, that's sad. And then, me, I went back to the, damn, well, at least they saved a lot of money on that wedding, but hey. So we'll see. Also, I don't really want to get into the details because we've talked about it. I just want to say that Matt Gaetz has got to be the dumbest person, one of the dumbest people walking the face of the earth. Just the more you hear about that story, the worse it gets and the dumber it gets. And it's like, how stupid can you possibly be to pay on a public Venmo for sex on a public Venmo? That's just really it. Like, make your Venmo private, dude. And why are you leaving a money trail? But I don't know. But that's really all I have to say about that. Is it just gets dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. And I feel like the only reason anyone cares is because this man is just a sitting U.S. congressman, But yeah, and I can tell. I know that concerns you a lot as well.
Yeah, you can tell by my silence.
I can tell you're deeply affected by that. But did you Now, a highlight of the week. Did you see the Fast 9 trailer?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like it?
I mean, it's as ridiculous as it normally is. So, I mean, like when you sent me like the when you sent it for the list of what you wanted to talk about, I was just like, oh shoot, like what? We're talking about a trailer, and then I watched it. I was just like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you exactly like. What were you thinking when you were watching it, Eddie? That you put it on the news list, like.
Okay, first of all, for those of you that don't know, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out here so you will not be surprised. I am a huge Jason Statham fan, and he's my guilty pleasure. We all have a guilty pleasure actor or franchise or movie, something that we know is not great, but we still love it anyway. So Jason Statham, like I ride hard for Jason Statham. I've seen all of his movies. I love Jason Statham. Okay, so don't come at me with that Jason Statham slander. Now, I say that to preface that the Fast and the Furious franchise is that for me. That is my guilty pleasure franchise. I know it gets batshit crazy. I know the acting is not great. I know all of that, but I still love all of the movies, with the exception of Tokyo Drift. That movie is still the worst. It's still trash. I think we talked about before. It was one of the series that I went back and I watched the whole thing, even number 3 last year during lockdown. So, but I was just excited, and I guess when the first trailer, before the world kind of just came to a standstill, and it's supposed to come out last summer, and the trailers were being released, we all got a preview that Han was still alive. So I'm still curious, like everyone else, to find out how the hell is Han still alive, because we literally saw him get blown up on an airplane in, was it 5 or 6? I think it was 6. So that, and then they're going to space, girl. How are they going to get them in space?
Okay, so like I agree on I love Fast and the Furious series. Like that's a movie that I can just sit there and watch and just enjoy the ridiculousness of the action scenes that are not based in reality at all. Like I love the series because it gives me what it's supposed to.
Escapism.
But it's a trailer.
I know, but okay.
When it comes out, we can put it on the list and we can really talk about it. But I mean, granted, I love Han. Han was just my dude. I really can say I probably shed a tear when Han died in the movie. I was so pissed off when Han died. But yeah, yeah.
Well, okay. I thank you for indulging me and humoring me. But
that's what I'm here for.
I also think it might have to do with the fact that, oh my gosh, it's one of those where you think, all right, with everything going on, is it something you want to test going to the movies to see? I still don't think I'm ready for that, even with shots and vaccinations. I'm not sure I'm still ready to go.
Oh, I'm rolling up in there June 23rd. I will be rolling. Please. They have not changed the premiere of Black Widow yet. So.
Oh, and Disney Plus is not getting my $30. They lost that with Mulan.
I'm going to the theaters for Black Widow because I've been waiting for that shit for a year. So whenever they decide to premiere Black Widow, which they're telling me right now is going to be around my birthday, I'm gonna be up in that theater. Yes, I am. Now, granted, I may go at a time when I feel nobody's gonna be there really, but I'm gonna be up in the theater watching that movie. So when Fast and Furious comes out, I'm going to the theater. Oh, I'm
okay.
There.
So
I'm there.
Okay, I will say on record I will say this. I will commit to Black Widow, but this is how we're going to do it, okay? And I know I can't say this because I remember, but I was going to say we're going to look on the movie thing and see what the distance is between seats. And I'm like, can we put Although I trust you, I see you every day, so you know, and I know our situation. So, but we always usually have a seat in between us anyway.
We do, because I talk through movies for anyone. Because okay, so we started this during the pandemic, so I will put it out there right now for everybody who's listening that I am that person that you hate in the theater, that you never want to go see a movie with, because whenever I go with Eddie has learned to like have a seat or two between us, or a person between us, because I will talk to her through the whole entire movie.
And I'm not a movie talker. I think the only one that we really had some good conversation, and it wasn't really just conversation, because she knows, like, I'll give her that look, like the one movie I wanted her to talk through was Charlie's Angels, but I was so sick I ended up falling asleep during Charlie's Angels, so I was good. I was like, why is she talking now? But I was sick and sleep, so I was okay with that. But John Wick, we had a good conversation, because that was like, ooh, headshot, you know.
Because I'm also that person who laughs when people get killed.
Yeah, going to the movies with Tammy is a whole experience, okay? It's a whole vibe, mood, experience, everything. So if we go with a group of people, I always make sure that there's at least one or two people in between us. And if it's just us, then, you know, it's a seat or two. And people be like, is that seat taken? Yeah. Although it really isn't. So I was going to say, looking, when we get the tickets, you know, we could see what the situation is like, because I know a lot of people, even though the caps are off here in Texas, a lot of people are still capping their capacity. So if Black Widow is a good experience, then okay, I'm all in for going to the Fast 9. I'm all in for going to Fast 9. But I also want to say, I know that when we buy tickets, looking at the seat capacity really doesn't say much, because what was that movie we bought and there was nobody in there, and then the night we got to the movie it was like freaking sold out. Oh, I think it was the last movie that we saw of 2020, Bad Boys for Life.
Oh, yeah, because then somebody picked the one, because it was a seat that we had literally between me and you. And we took up all the other seats, because everybody came, because it was our cruise like movie night. Everybody came. We took up every other seat. The one seat was between me and Eddie, and somebody actually bought that seat.
And then I was like, first of all, I'm not the people person in the group. Like, you know, Tammy says she's not the people person. I'm really not. And then this was like that weird person who, you know, we're passing around popcorn. Hey, you want some? You want some? Like, oh, Lord. It was just like, who is this rando? And just because the way it was set up, like with couple things and all that, I was like, we were forced to sit between this weird person. And it was just like, oh, my God. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see. But okay, so on our tentative list. Oh, so that means we definitely have to add Black Widow, and we can also talk about the movie going experience. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Well, Black Widow, of course, is already on our list. Don't let me sit there in front like it was not added. Like that's a given. Anyway. So, speaking of movies and movies I'm excited about, I was excited about that I kind of put on a question mark list just because I love the actor, I love the producer, but Emancipation, we talked about it on the last Wine Down about how people were upset about the Georgia law, and, you know, Georgia had become, because of all the tax rebates and all the business credits they give, the Hollywood of the South. And I was like, okay, you have people speaking out about it, but actions speak louder than words. So who's going to actually step up? And we have the first major production being pulled from Georgia, and that is the movie Emancipation, which stars Will Smith, and he's producing it along with Antoine Fuqua, who's directing it as well. So they're saying that it's probably going to be moved to Louisiana. And that's going to cost Apple, who's distributing it, about an additional $15 million, because they don't have those tax rebates that Georgia has. So, but you said that you didn't think anyone was going to pull out. God, that's nice.
I mean, that's nice. Like, because when I said that I didn't feel anybody was going to pull out, I'm not talking about individual production. I'm talking about whole production studios. Because people were trying to put pressure on Disney because the whole Marvel universe is taped in Atlanta. Like, that's where the studio is. That's where all the movies are taped when they do like street scenes and everything like that. So they were putting pressure and being like, okay, so what are y'all gonna do about this? Because y'all are bringing in so much money to the state of Georgia. So I was looking at those big production companies to see, like, are y'all going to pull out of the state because of the voting? Individual movies, like, I can understand that, and you're still, you know, the company is still losing money that's producing it. But I'm looking at those big companies, because if you see at the end of the day, none of those big companies have pulled out.
Yeah, and you know, I understand. I understand the need for a boycott. I do. But it also affects the day-to-day people that live there. And then you have people like Tyler Perry, who has his studio there.
But that's why people do what they do, because they look at it as in, you'll never do what is necessary, because people will guilt trip you by saying, but what about the local people? What about the local businesses? That's who's really going to be hurt. But at the same time, like, the pressure should be put on the politicians that they voted into office, who are making these laws, who are forcing these companies to have to leave your state. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, we're going to be affected personally, like, because that's how you get those companies to stay. Because the whole thing is like, oh, well, it's going to affect everyday people. It's going to affect the neighborhood people. So, you know, don't leave because that's taking jobs away. Blame your politicians for those jobs being taken away. That's what the mayor of Atlanta said when the All-Star game was thing. She said, you know, I'm really sad and I'm really upset. But she said that's a consequence of the people that we elected into office.
Yeah. And I agree. I totally agree with that. And, you know,
they don't feel it until it hits their pockets. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those that I know we'll come back to. There's no answering it today, obviously, but a lot of the corporations are actually starting to, again, speak out. But I'm still want to know what you're going to do. Like, they're taking out ads and they're starting to apply pressure and not donate. We'll see how it, you know, this is an off election year. We'll see what happens next year with that money to these campaigns because of this. And it's not just Georgia. By the time, like I said, Georgia happened so quick. Like, we knew what they were trying to do. Word was out of what they were trying to do, but politicians, don't let them tell you they can't get shit done, because it went from the Georgia House to the Georgia Senate to the governor's desk all in one day. And then it was signed into law like that day. So, you know, I guess they're trying to get the other state. They're trying to stop the other states as they're trying to jump on this stupid ass bandwagon too. But like I said, as one of my favorite journalists likes to say, watch this space. We'll see what happens, especially the entertainment. And if states actually want to draw fans out, then you draw the movie business out of Georgia, then you're going to have to give those tax rebates. You're going to have to make it lucrative for these people to want to move their productions to these places. But with 38 of the 38 of the states trying to enact these stupid ass laws, where are they going to go? You know, so we'll see what happens. Now, did you ever watch Luther?
I started to, and then I lost interest.
Okay. I loved Luther. I loved Idris Elba. I love British shows. But yeah, and the first season was really good. The first season and the last season were really the best to me. But so the diversity chief at BBC, her name is I had her name, Miranda Whalen. She recently said that Luther was not Black enough to be real, or he wasn't a real representation of Blackness, because he didn't have any Black friends and he didn't eat Caribbean food.
So here's what I'm going to say about that. I will say that I understand where she's coming from. She used the wrong words. I think she was trying to make a point, and people are focusing on the Caribbean food thing when it's not necessarily that she meant Caribbean food. We have to acknowledge the fact that a vast majority of the Black community in Great Britain is either African or West Indian. And that's the reason why she made the comment about the Caribbean food. It just doesn't come off so well because in America, we look at it as in, oh, well, you know, you're just stereotyping because I don't eat Caribbean food and I'm Black. Black in America ain't Black in Britain. And so I understood what she was saying. She may have put out the wrong words because now people are focusing on certain words that she said, but I get what she was trying to say. And I'd have to agree in certain ways. And even more once I read what the white producer of the show, the white writer of the show said, where he said, oh, well, you know, I'm a white man. What would I like? It would be me being stereotypical if I was to write for a Black character, you know, the Black experience. And I said, no. It wasn't for you to write the Black experience. It was for you to hire Black writers to help you write the Black experience. And that's not what you did. You just kind of been like, well, we have a Black actor, so that's it. That's all we need to do. You don't need to do anything else.
So you know me, being a nerd that I am, I looked it up. Miranda Whalen is a Black woman. Since she works for the BBC, I'm going to take it that she's Afro-British. And I get what she was saying, and I agree with you. The Caribbean, and, you know, I understood what she was saying about Caribbean food because I know the makeup of the Black population in Britain. You know, that is a big thing there, eating the Caribbean food or whatever you. My problem, and I also agree with you with what you just said, because that was one of the things I wrote down the question too. Well, first of all, Luther was a fictional character, and I get that. And for Idris Elba to be able to play that character, especially in Britain, was a big deal at the time. And I don't know if it's based on a series of books, so I don't know if the original John Luther was white or what have you. I understand what Neil Cross was saying, but I agree with you. Then if you know that this is the character that you have, if you know this is the person that you've hired to play this role, then you need to get writers in here who can actually write for him and write for his experiences. So my thing about, rather than saying Luther wasn't Black enough to be real, why don't you go after the people who did not include additional Black cast, Black friends, Black actors, or other Black representation into the show?
But that's what she did. Like, okay, so I feel that's once again people focusing on the words rather than actually focusing on the details. Her saying Luther was not Black enough is not her saying. I did not get that she was trying to say that Idris Elba was not Black enough as playing the character of Luther. She was saying that the character of Luther was not Black enough because he did not have he was not living a Black experience. He just happened to be played by a Black actor, but that was the only thing Black about Luther. And that's what I was getting she was trying to say. And I feel like people, because we love Idris Elba, like we're looking at it as in she's attacking him, the actor, but that's not what she was doing. And that's why I said it was her words and the explanation that she gave that was not deep. But when I really sat down and thought about it, and I said, yes, I agree, because it's the same thing as with Friends. Okay, I was a huge Friends fan. I watched all of the seasons of Friends. All right, and it was crazy to think that in all the seasons, you never had a person of color on that show.
Aisha Tyler.
Aisha Tyler came after they started talking about the fact that there was no people of color on the show. She was an effect of them pointing out the fact that you live in one of the most diverse cities in the world, and you mean to tell me you ain't got no people of color that you encounter in New York City? Please. I could walk out on the street on New York, throw a dime, and hit every person that I hit would be a person of color before I hit a white person. So that's what I think she was trying to say. She wasn't attacking Idris Elba, but people are taking it as in she was attacking him. She wasn't attacking him. She was attacking the character and the fact of saying that because they felt that it was played by a Black person, that was good enough. And that's Black representation. That's not Black representation. Just hiring a Black actor does not show Black representation. You also have to show the Black experience. And he did not show the Black experience. It just happened to be a Black actor playing a character that wouldn't make no difference if he was white. Like you couldn't tell the difference. If they had put a white actor in that role, nothing. And you know Black people got a different life experience than white people. But they didn't show that.
Yeah, look, even the ones who don't necessarily want to identify or relate
still have a Black experience.
And I agree with you. I can't argue or disagree with anything that you just said. I got the same thing, and I think we approached it from the same way. And I really normally I wouldn't, but and maybe it was the way the quotes may have been taken out of context, or maybe it was the things that were highlighted in the headlines. I think I think the headlines were designed to be clickbait.
I was just about to say clickbait.
Yeah, and then when you went and read the full statements, it still didn't give context to the full conversation. So the way it was designed. So I got what she was saying just by the questions I was asking, like, okay, so maybe it could have been explained more thoroughly, and maybe it was just the parcels and pieces of the conversation we got, just kind of took it off for the most.
And I think that's ultimately the problem that we have, is that we were looking at this from an American perspective. I have a lot of people that I know who live in Great Britain, and like I said, they're either African or they're West Indian, and so they understood better what she was trying to say. So hearing that, he don't even eat Caribbean food, and everybody's just like, don't every Black person eat Caribbean food? In America, we don't. But when you say it to Black British, to Black people who live in Great Britain, or Black British people, they understand that, because yes, majority of them do eat Caribbean food.
No, I got what she was saying.
But like I'm just saying, like other people's reaction, because like I have people on my Facebook who was like going off about her saying that Luther wasn't Black enough, but they were making it seem like she was attacking Idris Elba, and I was like, this is attacking Idris Elba.
And Idris Elba is British, and his with parents from East Africa, so I get it, and I agree. It was probably just the ways in which the conversation was had that made it seem so random and so fucked up. But I agree. The representation problem starts with, it's not just the person who is on the screen. It also goes with the people behind the screen and the way you write for that person of color, and just having. And I think we realize that now, that okay, you can't just have this one character of color. You can't have just one Asian person and have them not be, and not have them have any Asian experience. And this is a complete sidebar, but that's one of the things I'm loving about Kung Fu is, we can talk about that later, but I just thought of that. But yeah. So, and when Luther premiered, it was 2010. So I guess that was good enough by the 2010 standards, Hey, and it was a big deal that Idris Elba had this role on BB, So, but now, 11 years later, we hopefully know better, and we're hopefully trying to do better.
They just need to hire Black producers, Black directors, and Black writers. And if you're going to have a Black character, or you're going to have a Black actor playing a character, no matter if they were originally supposed to be white or another race, if you're going to have a person of color playing a character, you need to have people in the writer's room who can write the experience of that character, being that they are a person of color. Because the producer at least said it right when he said, what do I know as a white man that I can write about a Black man's experience? So I wrote it as, he wrote it as, an experience, and it just happened to have a Black actor. But so if you can't do that, you need to make sure you hire people. If you're going to hire a person of color, you need to make sure you got people in the room who can definitely tell you when that person wouldn't say that. That's not something that would come out of my mouth.
And not just have them right for the two scenes where they interact. What was that one show? I can't remember the one show we talked about a couple of weeks ago where we seemed like the only writers of color only wrote when those two characters were interacting with each other.
I don't forget, but I know that was an issue with Jeannie and Georgia as well, where they were talking about, they were like,
yeah, that's the show we were talking about.
With that conversation, they were like, okay, so you had, okay, so that's when your peoples came in. Okay, gotcha. So
yeah. So, but I get it. I understand what she's trying to say. So I encourage everyone to get past the clickbait, take the fact that we all love Idris Elba out of it, read the article,
and really think deep about it.
Think deep about it, and go back to the time. Look at when the show premiered and where we are, how much further we're coming, and how much more we're demanding in 2021, than we were in 2010. So speaking of which kind of goes to the same thing, and Sharon Osbourne finally gave her.
Oh shoot! I thought you were gonna segue into BTS.
Oh,
but go ahead. It all works. It all works. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It all works because it's all a cluster. But so she gave her first post-talk interview. And when I remember when I posted this on the site, the popcornwinedown.com, check it out, the daily wine down. That's a plug. Pop. Anyway, so when I was like, problematic people being problematic, I think that's what I wrote, something about that. But I just knew that this interview already had the ingredients, or already had everything it needed to just be a problematic clusterfuck. And it was even worse than I thought. Her going on Bill Maher and talking about their experiences as old,
65 and 68, they're old,
rich white people who have, and
who be called out on their bullshit.
Thank you. Bill Maher thinks just because he fucks black women that he's down
with the cause that he is not.
Yeah,
because the masters used to rape black women. That don't mean they were down for the cause either. I'm sorry, was that too far?
So it's because
that's how I feel with Bill Maher. I'm sorry, that's how I feel with Bill Maher, because we've known for years that he feels that he can really talk about, racism and everything like that just because he happens to really like sleeping with black women. That don't mean shit. That doesn't mean shit, because slave owners used to sleep with black women. They used to rape black women, but you ain't seen them knowing anything about race as well. So come on, sit down.
Yeah. So, she tries to excuse her talk as women are bitches. We're laughing. We'll talk about, oh, why do you have that on? Then you walk up to us and we'll say, oh, that's so beautiful. And I'm like, whatever,
I don't do that. Do you do that, Eddie? Is that something that you do?
I don't. No. If you ask me how you look,
I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and if we're friends, if we're like cool, then if something doesn't like necessarily look great on you or fit right, I'm not gonna say. I will tell you. I'm not gonna ever just say, "Oh, you should never wear that again." I'm just be like,
I'm never gonna compliment you on your outfit, fake or otherwise. I'm gonna let you roll on by with ignorance, not ignorance, by ignoring you. No, so I don't do that.
Yeah, because all my friends have different tastes, and unless something is just really bad, I might want to say, I would find a way to say that, but I'm not just going to sit there and lie, but I'm also not going to let you walk around looking like trash. So I hate that excuse, because to me that comes up there with the men are men
locker room talk, baby. Locker room talk.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. And then she was like, she never used their alleged slurs. And I'm like, so you're saying Leah Remini and all these other people who sat there and heard you call Julie Chen all these racist Asians,
Sarah Gilbert, those homophobic names,
slurs? Yeah, like they're all lying. So it just. The excuses and then she chalks it up to it being like disgruntled ladies. And then Maher was talking about, it wasn't her finest hour, and that we can't, his exact words is, we can't judge everybody by their worst moment. No shit. No one's judging her by her worst moment. I'm sure there's been worse. But what we're saying is, I mean, I don't even think, and honestly, I don't, just the comfort level in that whole situation, the way she felt so comfortable telling her, like, we talked about it. It took me back to those PTSD childhood moments when my mom's sitting there beating my ass, telling me I better not cry. Like,
yes. Well,
like,
okay. So what I'm going to say is that, so I listened to, is it Jamila Hill? Is that how you say her name? Jamil Hill. So I listened to her podcast. I love her podcast. And she talked about a word that she wants to retire from her vocabulary because she says the other side has just taken it and completely like destroyed the true meaning of it. And the word was woke, right? Because now, you know, Republicans are using woke corporate woke companies and, you know, woke politics and all this other bullshit they're throwing out there as clickbait.
The woke mob
as clickbait for
shit,
you know, their followers or whatever. And another word that I would like to retire is politically correct. I hate that. I hate that people use that as an excuse for being called out for your bitchy assholery ways. Okay? If you're homophobic and we tell you not to be homophobic, that's not us telling you to be politically correct. That's me telling you to not be homophobic. If you make a racist comment and I tell you that that is a racist comment because I'm a person of color, so only I can define what a racist comment would be for me, that is not me telling you to be politically correct. That's telling me that that's a racist comment and you should take it out of your vocabulary. And I hate when people are using that as in, oh, well, why are you being so politically correct? You mean because I'm calling you out on your isms? Your discriminatory words and statements? No. That's like when people talk about their First Amendment right. And I said, you have a First Amendment right. You can say whatever you want to say. But you also need to deal with the consequences of if I happen to punch you in the face because of your racistness. Like, if you're racist, be racist. But if you happen to deal with the consequences of somebody wanting to beat the crap out of you, that's a consequence of you being racist. That's not me taking away your First Amendment right, because you can still say whatever you want, but also deal with that beat down for what you're saying.
Thank you. Now, so another word I want to take out, or term saying, is cancel culture. Like, they've ruined it. They've destroyed it. So it's like, dude, I'm not canceling you. Like, I have the right to say whether or not I want to fuck with
and
you
support
or not
you.
Fuck with
yes.
And all of that. So that's just me. You can do shit. I could have been a fan, and you can just do shit over time that just turns me off, and I can just stop being a fan or friend or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean I've canceled you. I get the fact that we're all human beings and we're all going to make mistakes. And like you said, I agree with the fact that no, we shouldn't be judged by our worst moments, because we've all done and said some really fucked up shit.
But accept the consequences of what you did.
Thank you. And if this was true, okay, and I can even go this far. If this was truly your worst moment, if this was truly a moment where you did not understand what you did or why what you said was wrong, then own up to it. You know what? I apologize. I did not understand. Maybe I do need to take a moment, you know, like, be sincere in your apology, but don't go have that victimhood and play the fucking victim because someone called you out finally on your bullshit. This wasn't your worst moment. This was you just finally being called out. And, you know, people are like, because we are now, like I said, going back to Luther, 2010 is not 2011. The shit that we're tired of taking and putting up with 2021.
Go ahead.
I have no fucking idea. Like, maybe it's a Back to the Future type thing. I don't know. But, you know, because we're no longer being silent. We're no longer hiding our discomfort to fucking make you comfortable. You know, it just accept it. Like you said, I'm the only person, whether it's racism, sexism, whatever. It may not have been your intent to offend me. I get that. But if I let you know that what you said has offended me or hurt me in some sort of way, all you can do is own that. You can't tell me how I should feel.
And you can't tell me you're not racist just because you don't feel like you racist. Like that, you're not the one to define your racism.
Thank you. Like, oh, you know, like I said, we've all said things out of ignorance. We've all said something that may have been homophobic. We've all said something that may have been racist. That doesn't necessarily make us racist. It just means in that moment, in that situation, we may have been ignorant. If we continue to say and do those things, if we don't learn better, when we know better and do better, then yeah, you're fucking racist. Then if you continue to do the same shit and say, oh, I can't be racist, but you're still saying the same bullshit, no, bitch, you're a racist. And then, so when they went on to the conversation, he's like, what? He said, you know, do you need a re-education at 68? You've been all over the world. You're married to a rock star. Like, that fucking makes a difference. You've been with all the A-listers in rock and roll. Like, that fucking makes a difference. Like, fuck them. Like, you need to, you know, like, race to me, like, who are you to tell me about race? It's a fantasy. No, you do need to be re-educated, motherfucker. You were born in a time and grew up during fucking Jim Crow. You were born during a time when Black people and people of color were supposed to be silent and complicit in our own abuse and mistreatment. And we're not doing that shit anymore.
I agree. So yeah, she can still go fuck herself. So
hear ye. But then, okay, so on from that, we can do something where you maybe know better, you do better, or if you just have a fan base like fucking ARMY, like I always say, nobody wants that ARMY smoke, the BTS ARMY. You don't want that smoke. A Chilean, and they have fans all over the place, and I guess people just think because they're Korean, their fans are in Korea, or just a few random people. You don't become the most popular group in the world by just having Korean fans or a few random people liking you here or there. But so a Chilean TV show, I want to say it was almost like one of their variety shows, maybe like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it was a variety show.
Kind of like Saturday. They were doing a bit like Saturday Night Live, and they just went really, really racist on BTS, like saying they were from China and all this other just ridiculous bullshit. So, you know, like I said, BTS is the most popular group in the world. They have fans everywhere. They're Chilean fans. Chilean ARMY wasn't having it. So, you know, it went viral. The rest of ARMY wasn't having it. And they started calling for the show to be canceled. They started calling for all this. So, of course, initially, you get the show. They wanted to be strong because I guess they didn't realize who they were fucking with. They were like, oh, well, whatever. It was just a show. It's just comedy. We were just telling jokes. No, the shit's not funny. So then after that, you know, you get the next PR statement. We will reflect on what we did. We did not mean to offend, blah, blah, blah. That still wasn't good enough. So then they start apologizing on the show. They'll never do it again. They offer an apology to BTS. That still wasn't good enough. So the network, the head of the network came out and officially apologized on behalf of the show and the network to BTS and their fans. I don't know if the show has been canceled because, you know, I don't have access to Chilean TV, but yeah.
What I will say about that is, yes, it is true that a lot of people, and I think it's natural for people when you don't listen to a group and you're not a fan of the group to not take into account on how popular they are, right? So I still have people that when I talk about the fact that I'm a huge fan of BTS, they will roll their eyes and they'd be like, oh my gosh, because they don't take them serious, right? And I said, and like I'm always saying, like, oh, you don't take them seriously but you're not gonna go after them. like that's just something that you're not going to do. You don't have to take them seriously because you're not their fan base anyway. So I can definitely understand that. But their fan base is psychotic and they're crazy. That's the reason why you'll never see them really truly come out and speak out about anything, because they don't have to do it. It's always handled for them. So yeah, I can see how ultimately like the president of the network had to come out. But you also look at, I think it's like it's kind of like with Korea, right? So Korea, a lot of their TV is public network. So it's owned by the government, and then, you know, it's kind of like outsourced. to these companies, but ultimately, like, they have to meet certain standards in order to like show anything on TV. And I think that's the same thing with Chile, and that's the reason why they thought that if they just come out with some bullshit statement that they would be good. But what they said is the fans aren't the Chilean army kept we say that like they're military, right?
Yeah.
That they kept going at the Chilean public broadcasting association or something like that, that's for the government. And they, even when they came out with the statements apologizing, they still went hard because they, like you said, they felt that it wasn't good enough. And that's what ultimately forced the president to come out and apologize, is because they wouldn't stop. They said they were sending like thousands of protesting letters every day, telling them how it wasn't good enough and this is what they needed to do. And like they went hard, and they were like and then they were being cheered on by army all over the world who couldn't really get fully involved. But, they had the full force of the international army behind them, which, led to the apology. So big up to army, because I know sometimes they go overboard. I will say that. And sometimes they make a huge thing out of little things. I will say that. And that's with K-pop fans, basically, because sometimes they just go overboard. But at the same time, like sometimes it really matters, and it's good to have them as powerful as they currently are.
Yeah, because let me just say, they ride hard for BTS. And I'm not saying you have to be a fan of BTS. I understand everyone has their thing. BTS isn't for everybody. I get it. I always encourage people to check them out and really just kind of, I think I've almost converted a fan this weekend. Almost. I don't know if their fight hit the fandom, but they've gained much more respect for the boys, the men. But anyway, all I can say is I say it all the time. You don't want that army smoke. If you think beehive smoke is bad, army smoke is like, whoa. And sometimes they do take it too far. They can be a little bit overly sensitive and all of this stuff. But like I say, they ride hard.
Majority of teenagers who are immature and have not fully developed yet.
Yeah, but so we will see. And also, did you check out Bang Bang Con this weekend?
No. Well, okay. So I did not. Okay, so I have officially gotten out of the BTS bubble. I'm still a huge fan. I'm still a fan of theirs, and I definitely promote their talent as much as possible. But I am no longer in the bubble. Like, I'm not in the hole of BTS. So I'll be honest and say I didn't even know that the Bang Bang Con was this weekend. I thought it was in like May or something like that. So I wake up, because I usually wake up really early. I'm a morning person. And so I woke up at 4:00, and one of the first things I always do, it's just a habit, is I go on Twitter and I go on YouTube. And when I went on YouTube, I by mistake, let me tell you how I found out that it was on. I by mistake happened to click the live tab for YouTube. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And when I was going to click back to all videos so I could see which videos came up on my feed, that's when I saw, I was just like, wait, Bang Bang Con. I was like, wait, what? Are they really live? And then I started watching, and I was just like, oh shit, that was today? So I didn't know. Yeah. I watched like maybe an hour of it. It was good because it's BTS and they definitely put on a show. But yeah, and then I clicked off and I didn't go back. So
yeah, this one, like, it's two of them because we missed it last year. We weren't quite as immersed in them last year. We were this time last year we were getting there, but we weren't quite there yet. So it was like 3 of their concerts. The muster from the Magic Shot muster from Busan, the one where they did the dang version. So that's what I caught.
Yeah, that's what I watched as well. So I guess we were watching at the same time.
And so that's the one I wanted to see. I was up because I was finishing another show that we have, and so I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, ooh, and I really want to see it, and because I love the video, and so I want to see the dang. And I ended up just leaving it on, even though I know I was going to fall asleep. So I fell asleep watching Bang Bang Con, and then when I rolled over and finally turned off the TV, it was surprising because YouTube didn't say, "Are you still watching this video?" It was still going on, and I just, flipped it over. But I think because they probably, they're not going to tour, they're thinking that they are going to do part 2, which is an actual another live concert. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was all good. Well, I think that does it for us this week. You got anything you want to add? Anything you want to say? Any tidbits for the peoples?
Just 2. So first is that we're huge fans of To All the Boys series, and they're making a Kitty spinoff. So I'm really excited because Kitty's just awesome. So definitely want to see what that's about, and if it really comes, like they're saying they're in the first stage of it. So, but I'm still really excited once I heard that they're going to do a Kitty spinoff. So definitely keep your ears open because we'll let you know. And then also one of our other groups, and Hyphen, is having their comeback on April 26th.
And hi.
Yeah, that's all Eddie, y'all. But I did want to put that out there because they're a new group, and I think we are friends with them from the jump. So we're gonna keep up with them. But
yeah, they're the first group that I followed from the beginning. Even though I said I wasn't, I like it.
So other than that, no, we're good. That would be it for the Wine Down ReWine.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us as always. And until next time, be sure to check us out daily at thepopcornwinedown.com and the Daily Wine Down to catch up on all your latest in entertainment and pop culture news. And also be sure to catch the podcast, any episodes that you may have missed. But please like, subscribe, and listen, and follow
on all of our social media platforms.
Yes, and also the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Until next time, I'm Eddie.
Tammy. Bye.